Hi everybody, Slomo here. And today we're going to be taking a look at 3D modeling. Now, I know some of you might already have a good understanding of what 3D modeling is, but today we're going to dig a little deeper into it. Now, 3D modeling is the process of creating a digital representation of an object using a computer program. 3D modeling is used to create video games or in movies, the CGI, but in our case, we're going to be focusing in on the engineering field. In engineering terms, 3D modeling is known as CAD, or computer-aided design, and CAD or 3D modeling, they fall under a field called drafting, or creating blueprints for things that need to be built. You see, before computers were a thing, engineers or draftsmen, they would have to create these two-dimensional drawing blueprints by hand. This is something my grandfather actually did when he was at Boeing. Fast forward to today, computers give us the power to see three-dimensional representations of things before they're created. Now, drafting by hand, it's still used today, but not nearly as much as before. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do some basic 3D modeling. Now before I do, let's understand a little bit of how 3D modeling works. Well, it works by using a little bit of calculus.
What?
Now wait a minute. I'm going to make calculus actually interesting and understandable. Suppose we wanted to make the shape of a cone. We would start out by making two lines that intersect. This is what it would look like on a 3D modeling program, but let's convert it to a standard graph. We'll say the intersection point between these two lines is at 3, 3, so we'll give these lines these equations. So now what we want to do is find the area between these two lines. We want to find this triangle area, because if you see in the picture that's now on screen, if we were to cut a sliver out of a cone, we'd get this area. Now I'm going to take this triangle and revolve it around the y-axis. And we're going to do this by using something called an integral. Using the integral, we're going to take the area under the one line, and then we're going to take the area under the other line, and we're going to subtract them both to get the area of the triangle. So now that we have the area of this triangle, we can then swing it around the y-axis. The equation of this cone would look something like this. We don't really need to know this equation, but you can see how the lines fit into the equation. You can also see the 2 pi at the very beginning of the equation. This 2 pi is what spins the area around the y-axis. When calculating this equation, we get this volume, which is equal to the volume that is given in our 3D modeling program. But we'll never do these calculations ourselves. The computer will always do it in the background. The goal of this section was just to show you the cool and interesting math behind 3D modeling, and how the computer can represent shapes in the form of equations. Hopefully I haven't scared you away, because I'm going to show you now how to do some basic 3D modeling. Okay, so now we're on Onshape. This is a free browser-based CAD website. It's very easy to use for starters. So now we're going to go up and hit create and create a document. Okay, so I'm going to focus this in, but there's two main tools that we're going to be using. And those are Sketch and Extrude. Sketch is exactly what you think it is. You use Sketch to draw shapes and lines. You'll understand Extrude better when we use it in just a second, but Extrude allows us to turn the objects or shapes into three-dimensional objects. We take a face and we stretch it out to make it three-dimensional. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Let's say we wanted to make a three-dimensional smiley face. So first we're going to hit Sketch. It's going to prompt us to select a plane. A plane is similar to an axis. It's the axis in which we're going to draw within. So let's picture that we are looking down at a piece of paper and we're going to draw on it. We are currently facing the top axis, so let's go ahead and select top. So now we can select the geometry we want to use to draw with. We're going to select a circle. We'll draw the circle at the origin of the plane. It doesn't matter how big it is, because we're going to use a tool called Dimensions to define the size of the circle. And we're just going to say the circle will have a 3-inch diameter. And now we're going to use the extruder tool to turn the circle into a three-dimensional object. Now we'll select the drawing we just created to extrude it out. And when you drag the face of a circle out, you get a cylinder. And we're going to say the width of the cylinder will be, ½ inch. Okay, so now we need to add the eyes and the mouth to the smiley face. We're going to do this by hitting Sketch and then clicking a face of the cylinder to draw on. So now what we're doing here is we're just using some basic lines to measure out where the eyes will go and making sure that the smiley face will be symmetrical. And now we'll use a tool called Trim to get rid of the baselines that we used. And now we're going to do the same process to create the mouth. I'm just picking random measurements for these features of the face, but I'm making sure that they are symmetrical on the face. And now once we have both the eyes and mouth ready, we're going to use the extruder tool again. We are going to highlight the eyes and the mouth, and then we're going to hit the extruder button, but instead of adding material, we're going to remove material. We are essentially going to be cutting through the cylinder. And then we're going to hit the check mark, and then we're going to have our smiley face. So now you know how to do some basic 3D modeling. That pretty much wraps it up for today. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, I'd love to hear them below. Thank you everybody as always, and this is Slow Mo, signing off. Take care.